Some truths hurt worse than others. Watching your heroes age is painful. Watching them refuse to accept reality is excruciating. Rock and roll promised us we'd die before we got old, but nobody mentioned what happens when legends refuse to leave the stage. These 15 bands gave us the soundtrack to our lives. They wrote anthems that defined generations, sold out stadiums, and changed music history forever. But somewhere along the way, passion became paychecks, and legacy became liability. What you're about to read will anger you. Fans will defend their heroes in the comments. But sometimes, the most respectful thing we can say to an aging warrior is this: you've earned your rest. These bands desperately need to hear it. 15. Mötley Crüe. In 2014, Mötley Crüe did something unprecedented. They signed a legally binding cessation of touring agreement, declaring their final tour would truly be final. They even held a press conference making it official. The swagger, the fireworks, the promise that this decadent ride was ending on their terms. Then 2022 happened. The contract meant nothing. The stadium tour with Def Leppard proved too lucrative to resist, and suddenly the legally binding document became a joke. But the real tragedy isn't the broken promise. It's Vince Neil's voice, or what's left of it. Videos from recent shows are painful to watch. Neil gasps through songs, can't hit basic notes, and often stops singing entirely while the backing track carries the melody. The frontman who once prowled stages with dangerous charisma now shuffles through performances, breathless and diminished. Mötley Crüe's legacy deserves better than this cash grab dressed in nostalgia. 14. Kiss. Kiss announced their first farewell tour in 2000. 23 years later, they're still saying goodbye. The current end-of-the-road tour has stretched across multiple years, multiple continents, and multiple promises that this time, they really mean it. Paul Stanley's voice has deteriorated significantly, struggling with songs he once owned effortlessly. Gene Simmons goes through the motions, his legendary bass-spitting theatrics feeling mechanical rather than menacing. The makeup and costumes can't hide what's obvious to anyone listening. Kiss revolutionized rock spectacle, but spectacle without substance is just circus. They've said farewell more times than anyone can count, and each new goodbye cheapens the last. 13. The Rolling Stones.
Were back then. In spite of all the heart.
Mick Jagger's stamina at 81 is genuinely impressive. The man still bounces across stages with energy that would exhaust performers half his age. But energy alone can't compensate for what's missing. Charlie Watts' death in 2021 fundamentally changed what the Rolling Stones are. Keith Richards can barely move on stage anymore, rooted to one spot while session musicians carry the musical load. The Stones without Charlie aren't really the Stones at all. They're a nostalgia act trading on a name that meant something when the core four were alive. They've earned retirement 1,000 times over and have nothing left to prove to anyone. 12. Aerosmith. Steven Tyler's vocal cord damage isn't speculation or opinion. It's a documented medical reality. His doctors have confirmed the physical deterioration, yet the band keeps announcing tours, then canceling them when Tyler's voice inevitably fails. The cycle has become predictable and sad. In 2023, they announced retirement due to Tyler's irreparable vocal injury. Then, months later, hinted at possible future shows. The back and forth isn't just confusing for fans, it's cruel to Tyler himself, whose body is clearly telling him what his ambition won't accept. Aerosmith created some of rock's most enduring anthems. Those songs deserve to live in memory, not be butchered on stage by a voice that physically cannot perform them anymore. 11. Def Leppard. Joe Elliott's voice shows serious wear, straining to reach notes that once came naturally. The band has responded by shortening set lists, lowering keys, and relying heavily on backing tracks to fill the gaps. They're still popular on the nostalgia circuit, but popularity doesn't equal quality. Def Leppard hasn't released genuinely relevant new material in decades. Their entire existence now revolves around recreating 1983 for audiences who remember when these songs felt dangerous and new. Phil Collen remains in remarkable physical shape, but one fit guitarist can't compensate for an entire band living in the past. They've become a tribute act to themselves, and that's the saddest transformation any legendary band can undergo. 10. Bon Jovi. John Bon Jovi can't sing anymore. This isn't subjective criticism or harsh opinion. It's a medical fact confirmed by doctors and painfully obvious in recent performance footage. His vocal cord surgery didn't restore what was lost. It highlighted how much damage had accumulated over decades of touring. Viral videos from 2022 shows captured the devastating reality. John struggled through "Livin' on a Prayer," unable to hit basic notes, his voice cracking and failing on songs he's performed thousands of times. Fans paid premium prices to witness their hero's vocal collapse in real time. The kindest thing Bon Jovi could do now is stop. Preserve the memory of that powerful voice instead of forcing audiences to watch its painful deterioration. 9. Lynyrd Skynyrd. Gary Rossington, the last surviving original member of Lynyrd Skynyrd, died in March 2023. With his death, every single person who created Free Bird and Sweet Home Alabama is gone. Yet the band still tours, still uses the name, still collects the money. This isn't Lynyrd Skynyrd anymore. It's a legally sanctioned tribute band that owns the trademark. The plane crash survivors have all passed away. Ronnie Van Zant's voice is silent forever. What's left is a corporate entity exploiting a legacy built on the bones of dead musicians. It's disrespectful to the original members and dishonest to fans who think they're seeing the actual band that created this music. 8. Journey. Steve Perry left Journey in 1998, taking with him the voice that defined their sound. Since then, the band has cycled through replacement singers, finally settling on Arnel Pineda, a Filipino vocalist discovered singing Journey covers on YouTube. The irony is almost too perfect. Pineda sounds like a Steve Perry impersonator because that's essentially what he is. He replicates Perry's phrasing, his tone, his everything, because Journey isn't interested in evolution. They want a human jukebox who can recreate the hits exactly as fans remember them. Without Perry's creative force, Journey has no artistic purpose beyond profit. They're not making music. They're operating a nostalgia manufacturing plant that happens to tour. 7. Foreigner. Only Mick Jones remains from Foreigner's original lineup, and even he barely performs due to declining health. He often watches from the side of the stage while hired musicians play the songs he wrote. Lou Graham's powerful voice defined Foreigner's sound, and his absence is impossible to ignore. What tours under the Foreigner name is essentially Mick Jones's retirement fund with a backing band. Current vocalist Kelly Hansen is talented, but he's singing someone else's story, someone else's passion, someone else's life. The songs weren't written for his voice or his interpretation. Fans are being sold a name, not the band. That's not preservation of legacy, it's exploitation of it. 6. Styx. Dennis DeYoung was kicked out of Styx in 1999, and the bitterness has only intensified over 2 decades. Tommy Shaw and James Young continue touring as Styx, while DeYoung tours separately, performing the same catalog. Fans are forced to choose sides in a feud that's consumed the music itself. Both versions sound tired, diminished, and petty. The drama between warring factions has become more interesting than the actual performances. DeYoung's theatrical vision clashes with Shaw's rock credibility. But neither has the original magic anymore. The feud has poisoned everything Styx once represented. Music has become secondary to score settling, and fans are caught in the crossfire of an ego war nobody can win. 5. REO Speedwagon. REO Speedwagon has become the punchline they never wanted to be. Permanently relegated to state fairs, county festivals, and casino lounges, they represent rock's saddest trajectory, from arenas to agricultural exhibitions. Kevin Cronin still leads the charge, but his voice has deteriorated dramatically over the years. They've played the same setlist since 1985, offering zero artistic evolution or creative risk. Audiences are shrinking, venues are downgrading, and the performances grow more lackluster with each passing year. There's no dignity left, just a desperate clinging to relevance that evaporated decades ago. Rock bottom isn't an addiction or scandal. It's playing Keep On Loving You to distract fairgoers between corn dog vendors and livestock competitions. 4. ZZ Top. Dusty Hill's death in 2021 should have ended ZZ Top. For 50 years, they were a three-piece unit: Billy Gibbons, Dusty Hill, and Frank Beard. That trinity was ZZ Top's identity, their look, their sound, their mythology. Replacing Dusty with bassist Elwood Francis fundamentally breaks what made them special. Billy and Frank are incredible musicians with decades of chemistry, but ZZ Top wasn't just about musicianship. It was about three men who looked alike, sounded unified, and represented a singular vision. That vision died with Dusty, and continuing without him feels like denial. Some bands are so fundamentally tied to their original lineup that continuation becomes disrespectful. ZZ Top crossed that line the moment they replaced an irreplaceable member. 3. The Who. Only Roger Daltrey and Pete Townshend remain from The Who's classic lineup. Keith Moon's manic drumming and John Entwistle's thunderous bass created half the magic, and both are irreplaceable. What continues under the Who name is two elderly men struggling through songs that require the energy and fury of youth. Daltrey's voice is shot, unable to hit the powerful notes that define songs like Won't Get Fooled Again. Townshend's hearing damage limits his guitar work. They're backed by hired musicians who are technically proficient but spiritually disconnected from the music's revolutionary origins. The Who were supposed to die before they got old. Instead, they're proving exactly why that line resonated so powerfully. 2. Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath ended perfectly in 2017 with a final tour featuring Ozzy, Tony Iommi, and Geezer Butler. It was emotional, powerful, and definitive. But Ozzy's declining health due to Parkinson's disease makes any future reunion not just unnecessary, but cruel. Ozzy can barely walk or speak clearly in recent interviews. His tremors are visible, his confusion apparent. Watching him struggle through Black Sabbath songs would be heartbreaking exploitation, not celebration. The 2017 goodbye was beautiful precisely because Ozzy could still deliver. If they reunite for money or nostalgia, it will destroy that perfect ending. Some farewells should stay final, especially when health makes performance genuinely painful to witness. 1. Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses' reunion tour started promisingly in 2016 but has devolved into the most expensive nostalgia trap in rock history. Axl Rose can barely move on stage. His voice struggles with songs he once owned, and shows consistently start 2 or more hours late with zero explanation or apology. They charge premium festival headliner prices while offering nothing new. No new album, no creative evolution, just the same setlist endlessly recycled. Slash and Duff still perform capably, but they're essentially Axl's expensive backing band, enabling his worst tendencies while cashing massive checks. The tardiness alone is disrespectful. Fans wait in stadiums while Axl decides when he's ready to grace them with his diminished presence. This isn't rock and roll rebellion, it's entitled exploitation. Retirement isn't failure, it's wisdom. These bands gave us everything when they were in their prime, and we owe them gratitude for those memories. But clinging to glory past its expiration date doesn't preserve legacies, it tarnishes them. Sometimes the greatest act of artistic integrity is knowing when to stop. Which band surprised you most on this list? Defend your heroes in the comments below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more controversial music takes.